What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Remember the Game. It is my retro gaming podcast where every week a buddy of mine and I sit down and we geek out about the games we played back in the day. My name is Adam Blake. Thank you so much for listening to the show. And this week it is episode 333, a set of threes. I'm going to shoot straight with you. This episode is for me. Like most comedians, I've got a couple of jokes in my act that don't really have the best batting average. They don't always hit with the audiences, but I'll sneak them into the middle of a long set anyways because, damn it, I like them. And even if most people don't enjoy them, I get something out of them, and then I move on to the stuff people like. This episode is that. This episode is my episode. I know some people aren't going to give a shit about, but I do. I am talking about the World Series of Poker video games. For anyone that listens to my Rambling Idiot podcast over on Patreon or follows me on social media, I've probably talked about it on here a few times as well. I've mentioned many times I'm an avid poker player. Not necessarily a good poker player, but I love the game. Like many people, I got hooked back in the 2000s, the NHL lockout, the poker boom after Chris Moneymaker won the main event. Poker was all over TV, and I've been playing the game for probably over 20 years now. And while I do prefer to play in real life, video games get the job done when you're in a pinch. And I'll tell you, me and some of my friends were obsessed with these World Series of Poker games back in the day. So I'm going to roll solo on the episode this week. I don't know how much meat is on the poker table, so I have no idea how long this episode will be, but I figure I have 332 episodes before it covering games people love, and hopefully we'll have at least 332 episodes after it to follow. So this one, I'm going to treat myself and dive into the world of the World Series of Poker video games. I'll probably talk a little bit about some other poker video games as well, and I'll try not to use too much poker lingo so you non-players can still get something out of this episode. And we'll get into all that in just a minute, because speaking of making sure non-poker players still get something out of this episode, it's time for another edition of the Remember the Game infamous intro. Dun, 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 dun. And if you're new to the podcast, welcome aboard and consider this your warning. Our intros are a little long. They're not that long. They're a little long, but they're fun. We talk video games and stuff, and they are much easier to get through than a rough night of poker with a bunch of drunk assholes that barely look at the cards and fucking blind raise everything and suck out on you, and they take all your fucking money, and then when you go home, you gotta admit that it happened, and then she's mad at you because you lost. It's my problem. I'll deal with it. Reminder, quick note, ad-free shows on Patreon. Not just our Patreon episodes, but remember the game is ad-free over there now as well. So if you sign up for the $3, you can listen to RTG without ads, with timestamps, skip around, go to whatever you want. If you're listening to this on the main feed, go to about the 30-minute mark and you'll get into World Series of Poker chat. If that's all you're here for, let me get my plugs in. It's how we keep the bills on. All of our merchandise was designed by my man Joe from 4545 Creative, that talented bastard. So you can find it all at rememberthegamepodcast.com. If you're interested, it is a great way to support the show. And of course, the lifeblood of this company, if you want to call it a company. By company, I mean one guy sitting in his spare bedroom in his underwear, is our Patreon. We publish up to 4 additional podcasts over there every week. There's no ads in them, and you can start listening for as little as $3 a month. Not only do you get new podcasts, but you can write into the show. You get to vote on the games we cover. You can join our Discord, which is well over 1,000 members, and you get instant access to the entire bonus podcast library, which is about, I think it's over 1,000 now. It's fucking wild. And most importantly, you get a shout out. I get to hear me mispronounce your name. Like, I'm certainly going to actually, you know what? I might get all these right. I might be jinxing myself. I think I might get all these. A huge thank you to our newest Patreons, the Outside Blitz Podcast, Daniel Lowry, Jeff Kroc, Adam Davis, Frank Preeves, My Lufa is a Fupa. I think that one's over my head. Golden Fire, and Kevin Gill. Thank you all so much for the support, everybody, and welcome to Remember the Game Industries, patreon.com/rememberthegame. And if you want to check out how it all works, you go over there and there are some free episodes just so you can try them out, see how they work. And if you sign up for a full year, you get your 12th month for free, all right? That's enough blowing myself. Let's blow some of you by blowing in some cartridges. It is our opening segment here on the show. I read a few comments and questions from our Patreons, usually gaming related, but not always. And we call this segment Blowing in the Cartridge.
He blows all right. He blows big time.
That's it, honey. Get into the spirit.
Let's blow. Our first blower this week is Rob Pattershuk, who said, "Hey, Adam, recently I heard you checked out Titanfall and dismissed it because it's only multiplayer. You may have been right to do so. I don't know because I've never played the first one. Titanfall 2, however, has one of the best campaigns I've ever played through. It has a decent story, but also some of the most innovative and enjoyable level design and controls out there. If you ever get the chance, do not sleep on Titanfall 2. Rob, I feel the need to address this. I remember what episode it was we were on. I can't remember what podcast it was. Might have been on Expansion Pass. Somebody mentioned Titanfall 2. I wasn't even speaking of the first one, I don't think. Maybe I was, but someone mentioned Titanfall. Maybe I was. Anyways, and I've never played. I've heard the name, but I know nothing of these games. So I Googled them on the show just to look up what it was all about. And it said multiplayer in the description. And as those of you that don't know, I have no friends. I don't really do a lot of multiplayer. So I kind of was like, I'm not interested. I must have gotten 15 messages from people being like, you son of a bitch. Do not sleep on Titanfall 2's campaign. So I'm not saying I'm going to cover it anytime soon. I'm not saying it's I'm firing it up right now, but I have heard you Titans of Fall. I have heard the masses. Titanfall 2 has been added to the backlog from hell. Okay? I don't know when I'm going to get to it. I don't know if I'll ever get to it. The backlog from hell is hell, but I consider it unwritten off because of the nonstop messages I got about this game. I hear yous. Fair enough. So Rob and everybody else, thank you that wrote in about Titanfall 2. Pee-wee Squitters said, "Yo, Adam, come and get your goddamn Canadian geese. They're down here in Florida causing all kinds of ruckus at my local playground. They just had their babies, and now they're hissing at everyone, chasing kids away, and being all-around menaces. You got 3 days to come take them back home, or else I'll be eating goose sandwiches for the next couple of weeks." You know what, Pee-wee Squitters? If you can take down a bunch of Canadian goose, I want you to reach out to me and let me know how they taste, because no Canadian's ever been able to take one of them down. Well, because whenever we try, our people just go missing. So if you can take some Canadian geese down, let us know how they taste, and then come up here and run for a prime minister, because we need somebody that can put these geese in place. I get it, dude. Up here, they're all over the golf courses. I golf 2 or 3 times a year, and you get out there and you golf, and God help if you hit a ball near them, because they're hissing, and then they have their babies running around, they're shitting everywhere, and they're fucking crazy, fucking crazy. Nintendo 64 Chalmers said, "Hey Adam, you've mentioned several times that you are a big Xbox supporter, but have you ever had any of their hardware die, including handheld since the NES? I've owned 9 Nintendo consoles, 6 Sony consoles, and 2 Xbox consoles. The only ones I have ever had fail were both the original Xbox and the Xbox 360. So a huge disparity there. I like the idea of their hardware, but with a 100% failure rate in my experience, it's hard to give them more money." I will say, because same thing, I've outside of the Virtual Boy, I've owned every Nintendo system. I've owned all 5 PlayStations and then a Vita. I never had a PSP. I've had all the handheld Nintendos, and I've had all 4 Xboxes. And the only one I've had fail, I think, I might have had a PS2 die, but it was old, so I don't remember, was my Xbox 360, and I lost 2 of them, maybe 3? I know I lost 2 to the Red Ring of Death. So yes, I have. It is, I like that Xbox kind of owns it and leans into it as a bit of a meme now, and that's great. But what would have been greater is if my Xbox 360 hadn't died. And ironically, the Xbox 360 is far and away their most successful, and for my money, best system. And that was the Red Ring of Death. My OG Xbox was great. My Xbox One, I think I only used about 10 times, so it was fine. My Series X and S have been good, but the Xbox 360, man, that fucking Red Ring of Death. I even took it to get it fixed, and then it started working again, and I was so excited, and then it broke again. Twice. That was why I got out of gaming for a little while. I got out of gaming in the PS2 era because I was in my early 20s, and I was out drinking and being a bar star. And then I stopped gaming for about a year after my second 360 died, because I just didn't want to buy anymore. Yeah, I feel you. Nintendo 64 Chalmers. I love that name. TBK said, "Howdy, Mr. Blank. I hope you're having a great week, or a great day. Not a great week, a great day." That's fair enough. "And thanks as always for all the great content you put out each week. Thanks for your updates on Game Patch. I was finally able to scoop Balatro on my PS4, and I'm hooked as if it's being shot into my veins like my life depended on it. With your recent final excursion to the Calgary Expo and my anticipation for a convention I'm going to growing, I wanted to know what your favorite memory of going to an expo was. Was it getting an autograph from a celebrity or an interaction promoting the show? Thanks again, and cheers." Yeah, I want to just quickly remind everybody, Balatro, I think is it PS Plus this month, or was it last month? I think it's this month. Play Balatro. It's fucking awesome. Play it. By far, my favorite memory of going to a Calgary, not a Calgary Expo, because actually it was here in Edmonton, but like a comic expo was a couple years ago here in Edmonton. Kevin Eastman, one of the two creators of the Ninja Turtles, was here signing autographs. And I had part of my Ninja Turtles tattoo sleeve done. So obviously I wanted to be a little kid and be like, look at my turtles. And he loved it. But then he also signed, or he said he loved it. Maybe he didn't. I don't know. But then he also signed an original Ninja Turtles movie poster for me. And whenever he signs his autograph, he like draws like a turtle's head on it. And just, he was fucking awesome, man. I got to shoot the shit with him for a couple minutes and just express my complete and utter obsession and love for this weird franchise that he created all those years ago. He was awesome. I know some say that Peter Laird is a little bit more standoffish than Eastman is, but I still someday hope he ends up at a Calgary or Edmonton Expo, because I would open my poster's framed and I would open it to get his autograph on it as well. That's easily the best for me, because turtles are the best. Where were we here? Skinny Bones Jones said, hey, Mr. Blank, I often hear you mention being a fan of the MCU films and recently shared you were reading a Ninja Turtles comic. So I ask you this. Are you a Marvel comic reader? And if so, are there any characters you follow? I know you're a Venom fan, as am I, so I got to know if you heard that, I don't want to say, I'll say it, I don't care, that MJ is the new Venom. Do you have any thought on how they are destroying him with that, making him a mess of a monster and more like Jim Carrey's The Mask? Thanks for what you do and keep up the good work. P.S. I put on the Minecraft review when my son was in the car and you said fuck 4 or 5 times and had to listen to it later. Whoops. Yes, I've said it many times, but I will never stop reminding people, do not listen to my show in the car with your kids. Unless you don't care that they hear about swearing. I won't ruin anything like Santa's Deep Dark Secret or anything like that, but I will swear. I can't help myself. It's just who I am. I don't read a lot of comics. I am slowly getting through the TMNT IDW comics. I've been buying the anthologies and reading them because and I do think they're fantastic. I do kind of, like, I did know MJ was up. Like, I kind of know what's going on with Eddie Brock right now and stuff, but I don't read any Marvel comics. I've thought about it many times, like getting into it, but there's just too many. Like, I don't even know where to start. There's just so many. I've been thinking about signing up for the Marvel app and just reading comics on my phone or on my iPad, but I have like 400 books laying here to read already. Plus, I still have like 6 collections of Ninja Turtles comics to read. So I love the MCU, and I do enjoy like reading Reddits and reading people's thoughts about comic books, but I don't read a lot of them myself because it's just, I'm overwhelmed. There's just too many. So, okay, I know not everybody cares about hockey, but for some reason there was a bunch of hockey questions this week, so I'm going to rip through a few of them lightning round style, okay? Jans QC666 said, hi, Mr. Blank. I just listened to your last Rambling Idiot, and you were talking about your new hockey garage league. You said you love playing goalie. I have a question for you. Who's your favorite Montreal Canadiens goalie? Carey Price? Jose Theodore. Mine is Yaroslav Halak. Thanks, to keep up the good work /show. I do love Carey Price. I do love Jose Theodore. I actually have a soft spot for Jocelyn Thibault because he replaced my hero growing up. My favorite Canadiens goalie is Patrick Waugh. He's the reason I'm a Habs fan. He's the reason I love goalies. He was my hero growing up, was Patrick Waugh. So I'm going with Patty. Donnie the Dude Walter said, Blank, I wrote in a while back with a hockey question. I have another one. Why are the Canadiens called the Habs? This has confused me since I started watching hockey a few months ago. Yes, for those of you that don't know, I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan, and their nickname is the Habs. I'm not going to get into like the nitty gritty of it because honestly, I don't fully get it, but I know Habs is short for habitant, which is French. And I don't quite I mean, you could probably Google it and understand. I don't fully remember what habitant means, but, and I may be saying that incorrectly. My French is not good, but that's basically what Habs is it's short for habitant, and habitant is like, I think it has something to do with like the early people in Quebec or something. So that's why they're the Habs. And Max Power said, hello, Mr. Blank. If you could make a starting lineup composed of all players from the 90s, who would you take and who's your goalie? Thanks for the good content, or great content, and good day. I know it's a lame answer, but for forwards, you got to go. And I know that both Lemieux and Gretz were centers, but like to play together, one of them's going to move over. So I'm going with Gretz, Lemieux, and Yager for my forward line. I was torn on D. Okay. I was torn between, so the 2 guys I had considered that aren't going to make my team are Scott Niedermayer and Nicholas Lidstrom. I love both of them, and I think Nick Lidstrom is the GOAT, not named Bobby Orr. But Lidstrom really fucking caught on in the 2000s. So I'm going to, as much as I love them, I'm going to sit them. I'm going to go with Scott Stevens and Chris Pronger and just pray for the soul of anyone that comes across our blue line. And then my goalie's Patrick Waugh because I think he's the GOAT. Shout out to Broder and Hasek. WoW will always be the GOAT to me. Okay, so all your hockey questions for those of you that don't care, okay? Nintendo's legal team said with a lot of discussion in recent weeks about the budget for Grand Theft Auto 6 being about $2 billion, and I never saw that, and comparisons to how it costs more and took longer to build than the Burj Khalifa. I'm not sure what that is. I just wanted to say that even if they charge $100 for the game, I think it's pretty spectacular that we can own a product that costs $2 billion to make for $100. That seems like great value to me. You know, I know some people are going to write in and get all harumph about the idea of Grand Theft Auto 6 costing $100. You can be dragged into this kicking and screaming about how much games are starting to cost now. The simple fact is the floodgates are open, right? With Mario Kart World being more and selling, some of the Zeldas are being more and selling. Xbox says they're going to start raising the prices of their games. If ever there was a game where you could bump it over the $100 threshold and people would pay it, it is Grand Theft Auto 6. I do think that's going to happen. And I have to say, like, again, if you have a problem with it, that's fine. Pay what you think something is worth. For the sheer, I hate comparing the length of a game to the amount it costs, like a dollars per hours played value proposition. But when it comes to a game like Grand Theft Auto 6, especially if it comes with some kind of new online, like GTA Online, the amount of value a fan of GTA is going to get out of that game for $100 is absolutely insane. Absolutely. Even if you play it for 50 hours, you pay $2 an hour. What other form of entertainment can you get for $2 an hour these days? Like, I don't think every game should be $100. I don't think every game can get away with being $100, but I think Grand Theft Auto 6 can, and I think it's going to be, and I think people are, much like I said with the Switch 2, I'm like, if you don't think, you don't have to buy it if you think it's too expensive. I have no problem with that. I haven't bought a PSVR because I think it's too expensive. So, like, I have no issue with that at all, right? Absolutely none. But if you don't think everyone else is going to buy it, you're out to lunch. And not somewhere good, as they say. And finally, before we move on, it's letter time. It's letter time. Automatic said, has your love for retro gaming ever made its way into your stand-up comedy routine? It isn't. And I get asked that a lot. I don't think, outside of maybe like a tongue-in-cheek joke, you know, about Mario or something, I've never written a joke about retro gaming. And the reason for that is when you write a joke, at least me, like not every comedian looks at comedy the same way I do, but like as someone that works mostly clean with my act, like I like to talk about personal experiences like my back, money, my jobs, my relationship, my lazy eye, mortgages, like that's what that's a lot of the jokes I write. And I like to write stuff that could be as relatable as possible to as many audiences as possible. In particular, my audience has mostly become older because I do a lot of corporate shows, or I did before I stopped doing stand-up. I was doing a lot of corporate shows, a lot of company functions, like work retreats, things like that. And usually the clientele is like mid-30s and higher. And I just don't know how much they care about jokes about like Super Mario World and stuff. At one point, I was toying with trying to write an hour of material because that's what we, in the business, like you write a new hour. Like that's just kind of how we define writing a new act is you write a new hour of material. I was considering trying to write an hour about video games and tying it to Remember the Game. But it's so hard to like even test that kind of material out because when you go to an open mic, there's already not a lot of people there to try new material out on. And then the people that are there, if they're not into retro gaming, like I might have a great joke about the Water Temple and Ocarina of Time. If people don't know retro gaming, then they're not going to know what that is, right? And that's a very small portion of the overarching audience is going to know what the Water Temple and Ocarina of Time is. So I've never done it. It is something I considered, but I've kind of shelved that idea for now because that sounds pretty fucking hard. That's and it sounds pretty NES stuff. See, most people wouldn't get that reference. Anyways, we got to keep the ball rolling. Thank you to everybody that wrote in as always. Let's switch things up and get to our Smash Hit segment, the official game show of Remember the Game Industries. Play one, remake one, erase one. And a huge thank you to Class and Concentration from the NES for unknowingly providing us with the theme music for the show. The rules are simple. Every week I give our Patreons 3 retro video games. They can play one as it was released, remake one as a modern game, and erase the third from time forever. And as always, there are no wrong answers, but there is a right one. I'll let you know what it is in a second. This week we're talking World Series of Poker, and I tried, oh Lord, how I did try, to come up with a theme that fit that, and I couldn't come up with one or 3 games that would fit like a poker theme stream. So I decided to just go with the next 3 games I'm planning to cover here on Remember the Game: Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, Gears 2, and Okami. For the record, for the order, it's probably going to go Okami, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, Gears 2. That's the plan anyways. Every option, every possibility as far as playing, remaking, and erasing got over 10% of the vote, which makes for a good P1, R1, E1. But 33% of you said you'd play Gears 2, remake Punch-Out, and erase Okami. So let's see what a few of you had to say here, and then I will tell you what the right answer was. Smith said, I'd play Gears 2. What a perfect game and heartbreaking story. I'd remake Punch-Out. An updated arcade-style boxing game would be awesome, and there's all kinds of characters they could create, which aren't based on the racist tropes of yesteryear. It's true. I don't know if I'd say all racist, but yeah, there's stereotypes for sure. Agreed. And I'd erase Okami. Would anyone even miss it? You know what? I have been told by this community is I'm like, we're reviewing Okami next week. That's the plan if I can get it done, because fuck, that game is long. And I don't mean to spoil the whole review, but like, there are parts of it I love. There are parts of it I think are fucking awful. There is a very vocal group out there. So I'm telling you, there's a group out there that'll fucking string you up by your boobs or whatever you've got if you hate Okami. But I like your logic. Eric M. from Parts Unknown. Parts Unknown will always make me laugh. The green bastard from Parts Unknown says, I am most likely in the minority here, but play Okami as it didn't get played enough in its day. Unique gameplay, cel-shaded graphics that, unlike other types, never seem to age, and a little of that Japanese weirdness to keep it interesting. Remake Punch-Out because we haven't had a new one since the Wii, and that is a crime no amount of duffs can erase. Unfortunately, that means the best of game in the Gears of War series gets erased, but there's still plenty of other to enjoy. You may proceed with the admonishment at your leisure, sir. No, you're good. Because you are right. Of those 3, of Punch-Out, Okami, and Gears, the argument can be made that erase Gears 2 because that is the one where we have the most quality games to still play. So I wouldn't do it, but I get your logic, 100%. Vic to the Face said, another easy one for me, play Punch-Out because that game is perfect. It's also one of the first games I ever played, and I don't want my nostalgia messed with. Remake Gears 2 because it's incredible and could be even more incredibler. And sorry, Okami, you have a special place in my heart, but to be honest, you're a good game, not quite great, and that doesn't cut it in this poll. Sound fucking answer, Vic to the Face. David Dryden said, play Okami. I haven't played it, so I want to try it out, and I don't want to delete a game I haven't played. Always the right way. Remake Punch-Out. I've only played it a few times. Update the graphics and play it. Erase Gears of War. One game has to go. It's Adam's fault. He makes the rules. I wasn't able to get into the games, but I still beat the first 3. You know what? Honestly, David, like, if you beat the first 3, you're good. 5 is okay. 4 is not very good. You're good. You can stop at 3. And Stoned Old Gamer said, play Punch-Out because Soda Popinski is my bitch. Mr. Sandman is harder in my opinion. I can even beat Tyson, or I did as a young lad. I don't believe you. Remake Gears. I do. Remake Gears. Well, I don't know if I do, but remake Gears 2 because why not? It was a great game. If I remember, fresh paint and graphics overhaul, it'll be fine. And finally, erase Okami. I never played it. And there are 1,000 other Okami games. If I decide I need to play one, I'll make do. I don't think there are any other Okami games. I mean, that said, there are like 400 Zeldas, and Okami is Zelda with a dog. Are there any other Okami games, though? Okami. I don't think there are. Okami. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I think that's it. A spiritual successor, Okamiden, was released in Japan on the DS, and then in here, 2011. A sequel was announced at the Game Awards last year. So there you go. All right, fair enough. I'm going with the runner-up. I'm going with 19% of you voted the same way I did, as did Johnny from Virginia, who said, easy enough for me. Play Punch-Out, as I never played this one. I have to just say, like, double secret probation. Grow up, Johnny. Fucking, you're an adult. Play Punch-Out. Remake Gears because it's awesome, and why not make it more awesome? And erase Okami because I'm still salty it won the last tournament, so now I have the ability to erase it forever, and I'm doing that because I'm a big chunky man, baby. Full send. Yeah, you are a man, baby. You haven't played fucking Punch-Out. Unacceptable. But I'm going with the same order, though. Different reasons, same order. I'm going to play Mike Tyson's Punch-Out because I had never beat it. And it's the only one of these 3 that I haven't beat, assuming I finish Okami, and I want to. I'm going to remake Gears 2 because I'm replaying it for the first time in forever right now to get ready for the show, and it's fucking awesome. But I would just love to see it done with better graphics, all nice and sexy and everything. And then I'm going to erase Okami because it's fine. It's fine. I want to like it more than I do, but I don't hate it as much as I might. If, like, I will get into it next week. It's fine. But I am erasing it. So thank you everyone that wrote in as always. What have I been playing over the last 7 days? Okami. Fucking Okami. Expedition 33, which I haven't put nearly as much time into as I want to, and now Doom is here, and I don't know what I'm going to do there, but I do want to finish both of them. Hollow Knight, I'm slowly working on a replay of that to get ready for Silk Song and to review an expansion pass. And then I've been playing Gears 2 to get ready for the show because Gears 2 is fucking sick. I love that game so much. So that's it. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to pause. We're going to let a sponsor it, like a commercial break when you're watching World Series of Poker. We're going to let a sponsor in here to peddle their wares. And when we get back, we're going to we're going to shuffle up and deal. Damn it. That's what I should have said. Fuck, I suck at this job. We'll be right back after this. We've had some great partners over the years here at Remember the Game, but I don't know if any of them have hit home for me quite like Hometown Hero does. No pun intended. Don't start. It's a transparent, honest cannabis company that helps people and gives back to those that have served their country at the same time. I mean, come on. As soon as I read about these guys, I knew I wanted to work with them. Hometown Hero is a cannabis company out of Austin, Texas, and they were founded back in 2015 by a U.S. veteran. They have 2 goals: create premium hemp products that can help everyone, and to support veterans by donating a portion of those profits to organizations set up to take care of those who have served. Hometown Hero products are of the highest quality, and everything they offer is made right there in the U.S. of A. Gummies, caramels, chocolates, drink mix. There's something for everyone. And what's more, their hemp is grown locally in Texas, which is something they should and do take a lot of pride in. And they offer certificates of analysis for everything they sell because they want to be clear that their products are as advertised, both in terms of potency and ingredients. No contaminants, you get what you pay for. Just how they conduct business is enough to get my good eyes' attention. But when you circle back to the fact that the company was founded by a veteran and they put such heavy emphasis on supporting veterans, this isn't just lip service. I'm not reading a script I was given here. I'm proud to have Hometown Hero associated with Remember the Game. Reclaim your evening. Visit hometownhero.com and use code RTG to take 20% off your first purchase. That's hometownhero.com, code RTG for 20% off your first purchase. This is an ad by BetterHelp. A band once said, "Work sucks, I know." And I think most people agree with them. Workplace stress is now one of the top causes of declining mental health, with 61% of the global workforce experiencing higher than normal levels of stress from their jobs. And while walking away from your job might not be an option, taking a little time every day to focus on yourself and your mental health can make a huge difference. I know in the summer I try to get outside every day, get a little bit of sun, and just enjoy the outdoors. It really helps. At least until my allergies attack, and then it's ugly. It's important to take steps to combat work stress, and therapy can be a huge one. It's not just for overcoming trauma. Therapy can help you define work goals, set some work boundaries, develop coping skills. It's like a cheat code for life. And if you're thinking, man, I'm too busy for therapy, well, look into BetterHelp. They make therapy as convenient as possible. You can meet with one of their over 30,000 therapists online and on your schedule, just like over 5 million people around the world already have done. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/rememberthegame. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/rememberthegame. All right, let's talk the World Series of Poker and just poker video games. Not a bunch, but a few of you wrote in. Like I said, I know this isn't for everybody. That's fine. I love these games. Let's see what some of you had to say here. Oroku Saki's Gardner said, from TV plug-in games to ballot show, I've never played a poker game I don't like. Poker took over everything when I was in high school, and to this day, there's no better time hanging with friends than dealing cards and drinking beer with something on TV in the background. Hopefully this game captures that magic. I agree, there's nothing better than playing poker and drinking beer with your friends and watching something on TV. This game does not capture that magic at all. But I'll tell you why in a minute. Christopher Wynn said, much like many other people during the mid-2000s, I was a big poker fan. On many late nights, I'd be watching old episodes of the World Series of Poker. When I heard about this game, I was very skeptical. Well, at a GameStop, one of the workers sold me this, telling me the creative player was made from the same engine as Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. My dumbass bought the game, and honestly, the only good thing about it is hearing Lon McCarran's voice. Is it McCarran? I think it's McCarran. But I agree. You're right. And the creative player in this game is so fucking bad. We'll talk about it. It's so fucking bad. My loofah is a fupa. Said the old poker games were the best. I used to love setting up the tournaments of the one I would play in real life so I could practice for what I would play at live. I wish they would make more poker games this present day as good as they were back then. I wish they kept making these as well. They must not have sold, and I get that like with online poker, it probably kind of killed the market for these. I wish they would make more of these as well, though. I agree. Chris Jolly said this game is back online with the Insignia service that brings back the original Xbox Live. I played it recently with a group of buddies, and it was a lot of fun, although there are bugs that need to be worked out by the Insignia devs. I definitely encourage anyone with an OG Xbox to try it out. I never played this online, but I shouldn't surprise you guys. I have no friends. Sadong Hussein said, the early 2000s when Texas Hold'em took over the world was a magical time. I remember spending countless hours during the summer watching World Series of Poker coverage on ESPN. I always thought it was funny how they changed the card game in the Casino Royale Bond movie from Baccarat in the book to Texas Hold'em. Is that true? I didn't know that. That's the only Bond I've seen is Casino Royale. I did not know that. That's crazy. Good call, though. And the big deal made me laugh. They wrote in and said, spoiler-free review, please. I don't want you to ruin how this game ends. I'm going to tell you how it ends right now. You're going to get sucked out on at the final table, and then all the money you owe to the shady loan shark underbelly of Vegas can't be repaid because of that suck out, and you sleep with the fishes. That's how it works, okay? Let's talk about it. It's just me. I'm just going to talk about the World Series of Poker video games because I have a really soft spot for them. If you didn't like this episode or if you don't care about this, come back next week. We're talking Okami. That'll be maybe better. I mean, it is better, but whatever. I love these games. I hope you enjoy this anyways. I'm going to cue up some World Series of Poker music. The music sucks so bad. There's only like one song, I think, because there's not really any music playing when you're actually in the tournaments. But here's the music. And when it stops, we'll talk about the World Series of Poker, which originally released on the PS2 and Xbox on August 31st of 2005. A simpler time. Enjoy the podcast, my friends. Let's go. Let's shuffle up a deal. Whatever. Shut up. All right, let's get into the World Series of Poker. Like I said, niche episode. I get it's not for everybody. If you're listening, I appreciate it. And I just want to share my passion for this game. Not only like the video games, but poker as well. I'm pretty sure on some other podcasts I've talked about how much I play poker. I'm 90% sure I've dedicated a Rambling Idiot episode to it. So I won't get too into my history with the game. But just to give you a quick little bit of context here, as it were, I met my friend Mark, not Mark McHugh. There's multiple Marks. Some of you guys knew this, but there's other Marks. I met one of my other best friends, Mark, back in Jesus Christ, like 03 or 04. I was working at Walmart with his younger brother, and he introduced me to Mark, his older brother. Both of them are really good friends of mine now. And Mark has been a huge poker player since before the boom. He's always loved the game. And so he kind of got our crew into playing right around the time of the boom. Chris Moneymaker. For those of you that don't know, very quickly, a guy named Chris Moneymaker, like you couldn't write a script. A guy named Chris Moneymaker won a ticket into basically like the World Championship of Poker, the main event at the World Series of Poker. He won a seat playing an online satellite for like $60. So he won that tournament for like $60, got himself a seat in a $10,000 main event, won that to become the world champion of poker. And then right after that, I don't know how much it was in the States, but I know up here in Canada, we had the NHL lockout in 04-05. And so you just had Chris Moneymaker win the World Series of Poker. And you needed something to put on TV to fill the void with the NHL being gone. And so poker was everywhere on TV. And that's where it really exploded. Everybody started playing. And for a few years in the mid-2000s, poker was fucking massive. I think, like, obviously there's still a lot of people that play poker now. There's still a lot of notable names out there with your Helmuth, your Daniel Negreanos, your Phil Ivies, etc. But, like, it was really, really big in the mid-2000s. And that's when we started playing. And I hated it. When my friends would want to play poker, I didn't want to play. I only played because that's what all my friends were doing, and I had nothing else to do. So I was like, well, I guess I'll play, I'll lose my money, and then I'll just sit there and play Xbox or whatever, until the first time I won a game. And then I was like, this is awesome. And I've just loved the game ever since. I don't play very high stakes. I play lower stakes. I almost always play exclusively tournament. For those of you that don't know, there's cash game and there's tournament game. Tournament is everybody pays the same amount to get the same amount of chips. Whoever has all the chips at the end wins all the money or wins the biggest portion of the money. Whereas a cash game is like you sit down with, whatever amount of money the buy-in is and you play, and whenever you want to leave, you take that amount of whatever chips you have in front of you, cash those out for the money and so on. They are very different games. I've always preferred tournament play. And anyway, so that's the very basic gist of where I am with poker. I am going to talk a little bit about the game while I review these video games. I'll try to keep the poker terms to a minimum. For those of you that don't play, I'll try to explain them and everything. But yeah, so this game came out. What was the date that I said here? Hang on, I'm bringing up my notes here. 2005. So that was like the poker boom was huge. And me and my friends were so fucking obsessed with this game. The first World Series of Poker video game, the one with the green case. We played it all the time. I had it for GameCube. That was where I played it the most, but it was on PS2 and Xbox and stuff as well. And at the time, it seemed really good. Like, going back to it now, it's not very good. I'm going to be honest. These games kind of fucking suck. A lot of you were in the comments asking like, hey, I've never played poker before, or I haven't played a lot. I'd love to learn how to play. Can I learn how to play with these games? I mean, you can, but honestly, by today's standards, you're probably better off just going to YouTube, or there's got to be like a trillion different ways you can play online for free. There wasn't as much of that back then. And I think that's where I got my fill of poker with the World Series of Poker video games. I'm literally like, I always have poker chips on my desk. I don't know how much you guys can hear that, but I'm playing with them as I talk. So I'm sorry if you can hear the clicking. I can't help myself. This is where I got my fix of poker back in the day, because I wasn't playing online. I was nervous I had no money. Like, I was nervous about losing money. I had no money. Back then, I was working at Walmart, and then I got my first warehouse job, and I think I was making $9.50 an hour. Fuck, I'm old. So, I had no fucking money. So, there's no way I was going to the casino. I wasn't very good. I was terrified of going to the casino to play back then. So, unless my friends were getting a game together, this was how I got my fix. And I played the shit out of this video game back then. And then 2 other World Series of Poker games came out after the initial World Series of Poker. There was World Series of Poker Tournament of Champions, which I think was 2007. And then there was World Series of Poker Battle for the Bracelets, which was 2008. I am going to say right now, I'm going to primarily focus on the OG World Series of Poker game. I'll get a little bit into the other ones. And then there was stuff like the World Poker Tour had a game, which I kind of liked because I liked the World Poker Tour's presentation, and I thought they did a good job of it in that game. There was World Championship Poker, which sucked. And then number 2, Howard Lederer's on the cover. Howard Lederer fucking sucks. If you don't know who he is, look it up. He was in charge of the Full Tilt Poker scandal. He's a piece of shit. I don't really care for those games. There was Stacked with Daniel Negreanu, which actually was, from an AI perspective, probably the best of all these games. It's still shit, but it was probably the best one. But it was missing the World Series of Poker. And that's like when I play golf games, my favorite, I like arcadey golf games, but if I'm going to play a simulation golf game, I want one with all the majors, like the Masters, the US Open, stuff like that in it. And when it comes to poker, that's what I like about these WSOP games, the World Series of Poker, is they've got the World Series of Poker. For those of you that don't know, it's like a summer-long event that happens, and it's a whole bunch of tournaments. It's not just one tournament, and it's expanded exponentially over the years, but it's a whole bunch of tournaments, different games, different buy-in amounts, and every time you win a World Series of Poker tournament, you get a gold bracelet. Think like your what are those, medic alert bracelets or whatever? They're like much blingier versions of those, saying that you're a champion. And the World Series of Poker culminates with what they call the main event, which is that tournament Chris Moneymaker won. It is the World Championship, $10,000 buy-in. At one point, it was getting like hundreds of players. Now it's up to thousands and thousands of players because of the boom and everything like that. It's actually on my bucket list to play in it someday. I may have to raise my Patreon prices fucking pretty extensively if I'm ever going to pay a $10,000 buy-in to play at a poker tournament. That's spoiler alert, but that's a story for another day. And so that's why I wanted to play these games, because most poker players, if you've never played in the World Series, dream of playing in the World Series. And that's what I like about this game. And I will give it credit. Like when you fire up the World Series of Poker, the original of the 3 games, it doesn't have a lot of modes, but it's got the mode that matters. When you fire it up, it's got just quick play, and that's just you're playing Texas Hold'em, and then like you can just jump right into a game of Texas Hold'em, or you can set up a custom cash game, or you can set up a custom tournament with different rules, different, they call it structures, and that's how fast the blinds are basically like when the car, again, I really don't want to get into too much detail on poker, but it's hard to not explain the rules of this game without explaining. If you've never played, blinds in poker, especially in tournament poker, are like minimum bets. So like if I'm dealing, or if I'm the dealer in this hand, and every hand the deal moves one seat to the left. So if I'm dealing and you're sitting in the seat next to me, you're what's known as the small blind. And so let's just say the blinds are 25-50. Then if you are sitting right beside me as the dealer, you have to put in 25 chips. And then the person beside you is the big blind. They have to put in 50 chips. Then the cards get dealt. Then it starts with the person next to the big blind, and they can bet whatever they want, but the minimum bet is 50 chips. And then as the tournament goes on, those blinds will increase from 25-50 to 50-100 to 100, 200, 200, 400, so on and so forth. And that's to make sure the tournament ends. As people accumulate each other's chips, they've got bigger chip stacks. The blinds go up to keep them honest and keep them playing and stuff like that. So you can set up like custom rules for that in your tournament and stuff. So those are like the exhibition modes. It's quick play, set up a custom game, set up a custom tournament. The bread and butter of World Series of Poker is the career mode. That's the only mode I've never really fucked around with. I've never played the online on like the Xbox version. I've never played the custom games or the custom tournaments. For me, it was always all about the career mode because that's me going to the World Series of Poker with $10,000 in my pocket, and that's always what I wanted to do. And this game's got a lot of problems, and I'm going to get into all of those. But at its core, like, there is a cool game. Again, back in 2005 when we didn't have any other options, this was fucking pretty sick. So you start your career mode out. You're in like it literally just shows this like generic looking player named the Rookie. And that's what they'll call you as you play. They're like, and here comes the Rookie with a raise. The presentation of this game is so fucking bad. And you're just standing in your hotel room with like a cheap poker set and one of those metal suitcases that everybody's seen at kiosks and malls and stuff behind them. And you have $10,000. And then you just start and you can like bring up the list of games that's happening in that summer's World Series of Poker. And there's like a whole bunch of different types of poker and then a whole bunch of different levels of buy-ins, like different costs, depending on how, obviously the higher the cost, the more it pays out if you can make it into the money and win some cash. And you basically just play your career with this $10,000 and you try to see if you can't win some bracelets or at least win some money to keep your career going. And when you run out of money, then you move ahead to next year and rinse and repeat, and you do it all over again. So, and it's more than just No Limit Hold'em. Like No Limit Hold'em is the one everybody knows, the one that's always on TV. You get, Rounders, all them, Casino Royale. You get 2 cards. There's 5 on the board, and everyone can use those 5 on the board plus their 2 to make their best hand, and you bet and stuff like that. But this game's got 7-card Raz. I've only ever played Raz like on video games. I think, and I might be talking wrong. So like 7-card Raz is another version of 7-card Stud. This also has 7-card Stud and 7-card Stud high-low. 7-card Stud, you get dealt. There's a scene in Rounders for those of you that love Rounders. The scene where they're playing with the actually a lot of it they're playing 7-card Stud in that game. The game where he comes in and he's advising the judge on what to do, and then the game where him and Worm are working against the cops and they get the shit kicked out of them. So 7-card Stud, you get dealt 2 cards face down and then a 3rd card face up. And then after a round of betting, you get another card face up, another card face up, another card face up, and then finally a card face down. So you have 7 cards, 3 down, 4 up, and then you make your best 5-card hand out of those. High-low is the same, but you split the pot between the high and low. I'm not going to get into details on that. I believe Raz is to make the lowest 5-card hand. And ace 2, 3, 4, 5 plays like that's the wheel. It's a straight, but it also plays as the lowest possible low hand. Omaha is in this game, and you can do both pot limit or Omaha high-low. I do love Omaha. I don't get a lot of time to play it. Omaha plays the same as Texas Hold'em, but you get dealt 4 cards instead of 2 cards, and then there's still 5 face up on the board, and you have to use exactly 2 of your 4 hole cards and 3 of the 5 community cards. You can't go 4 and 1. Whatever, you got to use 2 and 3 to play. And then, of course, there's no limit hold'em, and pot limit hold'em. And I'm not going to get into the detail. Like, limit and pot limit basically just changes the way. You can't just go all in whenever you want. You have to bet certain amounts and things like that. So the game, I will say, has a nice variety of games. It's really cool. Like, I got to say, like, this game feels very half-assed. It really feels like they banged this thing out like 6 months to cash in on the popularity of poker. The AI sucks. The presentation's not very good, blah, 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 blah. But I will say it is cool that they put multiple versions of poker in here, because some of these, this has been like my only real chance to play them has been online, or has been in these video games, because I can't lose any real money playing them. So That's pretty rad. And so you start your career, you have $10,000. You can choose from a variety of tournaments featuring all the games that I just listed. And then, of course, they don't call it the main event in this one. I think they call it the No Limit Hold'em World Championship. Same thing. It's the World Series of Poker main event. That's the one Chris Moneymaker won. Stu Unger, Doyle Brunson, Johnny Chan, Phil Hellmuth, so on and so on. Chris Ferguson, that piece of shit. He fucking won it once. And if you're wondering why he's a piece of shit, same as Howard Letter, look it up. Black Friday, Full Tilt Poker, blah, 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 blah. So you can play all these. And then there's also satellites you can play, which are free games. So if you run out of money and you don't want to move to the next year of your career mode, you can play in satellites, which are free. And if you win them, I've actually never won a satellite in this game. So I don't know if you win a satellite, if you get cash or if you get a seat in another tournament. But basically, that's the entire game. It's either, unless you play online, which again I don't have an experience with, it's either the exhibition mode or you go into career mode where you have 10 grand. And if you can, they call it making the money. And so a certain amount of players in any tournament will make the money. And it'll tell you how many players are, like it might say 250 players are registered, 32 make the money, just for argument's sake. And so if you play in that tournament, you need to make it into the final 32 players of 250 to make some kind of money. And if you can win the tournament by collecting all the chips, you win the most money and you win yourself a bracelet. And it's got like a trophy room where you can see all the bracelets you've won and everything. I got to tell you, and I'm a little bit ashamed to admit this because the AI in this game really isn't that good. I've been playing this game on and off for the better part of 20 years. And I don't think I've ever actually won a tournament. And that's one of the problems with this game. And it's a me problem. I get bored and I get restless and I'm like, fuck it. This is one of the things too. People are always mentioning, I want to learn how to play poker. You can learn how to play poker online and you can play like at Poker Stars and stuff for free. I'm not plugging that site. It's just like, that's the one I do play on when I do play online, which isn't very often. I'm pretty sure you can play funny money, like for fake money, or you can play for real money. The problem when you play with fake money is nobody cares. And it's the same thing in the video game is eventually I always find myself getting bored and I'll be sitting there on the river with like middle pair, which for again, for you non-poker players, let's just say the 5 community cards, the board are like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Let's just go with that. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I might have and then in my 2 hole cards, I have like an 8 and a king. So I have second pair. I have a pair of 8s. It's not a very good hand. And I'll just be like, no one else will bet. So I'll be like, I'm getting bored. I'm all in. And then fucking an AI computer will call with like 2 pair or something and eliminate. Like it always fucking happens to me. So it's not, I've never won a bracelet in this game, embarrassingly. So I don't know. Like, I know there's a place where you can go to view how many bracelets you've won, and mine always says 0. I assume if you've won them, it'll tell you which one you've won and stuff like that. One thing I don't like about this game is you can't, so say you're done your season. It starts in 2005. And so let's say you finish your season and you move on to 2006. And let's just say you won, a $5,000 Raz bracelet, like the Raz tournament. You won that tournament. I think when you go to 2006, you can't see the previous winners. And that's always been, I know that most of you probably don't give a shit, but that's a big thing to me. That's always bothered me. I want to see the previous winners. That's always bothered me. Let me see who won it last time. If I'm the defending champion, I wish it would trust me, I'm going to come up with so many things I would change in this game as we talk about it. But that's basically your career mode, and it's just rinse and repeat. And it's just, again, in 2005, I didn't have enough money to go to the casino. I wasn't playing online. This was my way to get my poker fix. My buddies and I went to play, and I wasn't the only one. A bunch of my friends were all playing this game too. My buddy Steven swears he won the main event. So does my brother Josh. I don't believe either one of them. I don't fucking believe you. One major criticism I have of this game is no tutorials. In future World Series of Poker video games, there are tutorial modes to teach you the various games. This one doesn't have one. You can go through the instruction manual and it'll explain the basic rules of 7-card stud, Omaha, Hold'em, Raz, etc. But I'm really surprised there's no way, and if there is one, I couldn't find it. I was playing it 2 hours ago, looking for a way to do it. I can't find a way to pause and flip through a game and find the rules. You can hold the right trigger and it'll bring up the poker hand rankings, which if you're new to playing, it's straight below flush, so on and so forth. And that's all well and good. But especially when you get out of Hold'em, some of these games are kind of complicated. Omaha can be very confusing. And there's not really a tutorial mode, which I think is kind of ridiculous. So other than that, you just hold R and you can see the hand rankings. And if you hold L while you're in a tournament, it'll show you the stats. It'll tell you what the current blinds are. Again, say 25-50. It'll tell you what the next blind level is. It'll tell you when you're going to go to that next blind level. It tells you how many players started the tournament, how many players are left in the tournament, where you need to finish to make the money. So if there's 500 players and 50 of them make the money, it'll tell you like there's 80 players left. So now you're getting close to what is called the bubble in a poker tournament. The bubble is the last person to get eliminated before they start paying. So if 50 players get paid, if you go out in 51st, you're the bubble. And so it'll tell you how close you are to that. So then you can start deciding how you want to play to try to get closer to the money and all that kind of stuff and blah, 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 blah. And one of the cool things about the career mode that I do like about it is you have $10,000 bankroll to start. You can decide, do I just want to go right to the main event and just drop all $10,000 on the world championship and try to make a big score? In this game, the main event has 6,600 players. So it is the hardest tournament in the game to win, as it is in real life, because it's full of players. But then you go to like some of the smaller tournaments, maybe it's only $2,000 to play, and it's a smaller number of players. So it's a little bit easier to make it into the money. If you make it into the money, it won't pay as much, but you're also only taking 2,000 of your 10,000. And so it does become a little bit of career management or bankroll management. In the career mode is trying to decide, do you want to just play the big one, or do you want to really go all in and try to, no pun intended, I hate puns, but like, do you really want to go all in, like, do you want to just play conservatively and try to win small tournaments, win money, so that you can buy into more tournaments and rinse and repeat and all that kind of stuff? So that's kind of, I do like that. I don't like, in future World Series of Poker games, it shows you like the calendar, which is really cool. Like when you fire up, like, again, I'm going to recommend, if you're going to buy one of these, buy the newest one, which is 2008 Battle for the Bracelets. That is the best of the three for sure. If you want to do, like, if you fire up that one and you go into the career mode, like it'll just show you like event 1 is say $1,500 no limit hold'em tournament. Event 2, $2,500 pot limit Omaha tournament. Event 3, and it wraps up with the World Championship, the main event. Whereas in this one, you can't actually see the order of events. You can just hop back and forth, playing in whatever events you want at whatever amount, and you actually have to go by game and like sort it, and it's just ugly. The whole game is fucking ugly. Here's what we're gonna, maybe this episode is ugly for those of you that don't care about poker. I told you in the intro, this was an episode for me. I'm having the time of my life. I hope you can hear the smile on my face. I love talking poker. I want to get into how ugly this game is, how it plays, how the AI is, how the presentation is, and stuff like that. I'm just gonna get my sponsor out of the way right now, and then we can just geek out about poker until I run out of chips. So let me pause here. Let me let someone in here to do their thing, and then we'll come back and talk more World Series of Poker. Okay, so I've basically explained how the career mode works and stuff like that. Let's get into how it looks and how it plays, because honestly, neither of those very good. There are some cool little video packages in this, like especially before you play in the main event. There's like a cool little cutscene. It's like something you'd see on ESPN or here in Canada on TSN and stuff like that. There is no degree all-in moments. Dude, did you guys have that in the States? Here in Canada, that was a big thing. I can't remember if that was on the World Series or if that was a different broadcast, but it was like, it's the degree all-in moment. And it was sponsored by Degree Pit Stick. If you went all in, what is it? The Jack Link's beef pocket cam, or the Jack Link's beef jerky pocket cam, or I don't know. Fuck. Good times, man. I missed the poker boom. Fuck me. Anyway, yeah. So there's a cool little video package that'll play before the occasional tournament and stuff like that, which is kind of nice. There are aspects of the presentation that I think are very cool. Lon McCarron, is that how you say his? I think it's how you say his name, Lon McCarron. Basically the voice of the World Series of Poker. He is there doing commentating. It's cool off the top when this horrible looking digitized version of him is talking to you, and he's just like, we're here at the World Series of Poker, and today's event is the blah, 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 and we're going to be keeping an eye on the rookie. And like, that's kind of cool. But then once you actually sit down and start playing, the commentating is very minimal and not all that good. Like the thing about it is it's a hard thing to do, because when you're watching poker on TV, they can see everybody's hole cards. So they can talk about, like, oh, hey, fucking, she has 3 of a kind. He's got 2 pair. I think he's going to bust on this hand. I don't know how he gets away from this, which means how's he going to fold? He's going to lose all his chips. But they can't do that while you're playing and you can't see everybody else's cards. And so I give the commentary a pass because there's not a ton they could really do with it until once the cards are turned over, like if you're all in and someone else goes all in and you turn your cards over, they show the percentages, who's going to win, and then they do the flop, the turn, the river, and the percentages change as it's going. And that is kind of neat. The players will stand up. Like if two players are all in, they'll stand up and the camera will cut the screen in half. And it'll show both our sets of hole cards in the corner with the percentages beside them. And then if there's any cards left to turned over, they'll do the flop, the turn, the river, and the players are watching them. And that's when Lon's talking, and that's kind of cool. I am disappointed that Norman Chad isn't in this one. He's kind of the funny guy that works with Lon McGarrett. I know some people don't like Norman Chad. I do. He's not in this one, so we don't get hit with any bamboozles. Shout out to poker fans that know what I'm talking about. But I know he's in future ones. I'm not sure why he's in this one, why he's not in this one. But so that's kind of neat. That's kind of in future games you get Norm on commentary with them. Plus in future games there's I think they call it the Wrigley hole cam. And so let's just say on the turn I bet. So for those of you that don't know, you get the flop, which is 3 cards, then the turn is the 4th card, and then the river is the 5th card. And there's a round of betting after every round. Let's just say I bet on the turn and everybody folds to me. We never got to see what the 5th community card was going to be. They have the Wrigley hole cam, and sometimes they'll show you what the 5th card was, but they won't show it to all the players. I think that's like a cool little thing. There's like a nice little tracker going along the bottom of the screen at any given moment that's telling you how who the chip leaders are in the tournament and how much they have. Stuff like that is kind of cool as far as the presentation aspect goes. Once in a while, you'll run into pros, and they'll sit down with you. And it's kind of neat, like when you sit down and you've got like Phil Hellmuth at your table or whatever the fuck. They all look fucking terrible. They all sound fucking terrible. They all play fucking terrible. But it is neat when a pro sits down at your table and that kind of stuff, which is cool. But now this is where, and for those of you that don't play poker, I might sound like I'm getting a little anal here. But for those of you that do play poker, you're going to understand. And you'll know where I'm coming from when I point out some of the biggest issues with the game. And we're not even talking about the AI yet, okay? So in most of these tournaments, you sit down and you have a 9-handed table. So there's 9 players with the dealer dealing to everybody, 9 players in this game. And how a traditional poker tournament works is as players run out of chips and they get eliminated, it's up to the tournament director, the house, whomever, to balance the tables. And so in the most basic form, let's just say you have 2 tables playing. So you have 18 players. When one table loses a player, nothing changes. Because now you have 17 players, you have 9 on one table and 8 on the other. Let's say the table of 8 loses a second player. Now you have 9 players on one table, 7 players on the other. They will take one of the 9 players on that table and move them to the 7-player table to make it 8 and 8. So you always try to keep the tables as balanced as possible. I've never played in a tournament anywhere close as big as some of the World Series of Poker tournaments where they've got tens of dozens of tables running at once, probably hundreds of tables running at once. So I'm not quite sure how the balancing there works. I assume it's similar as best they can. But in this game, one of the really frustrating things is, and I didn't notice it when I just started playing, because when I started playing back in 2003, 2004, or whatever, it was just me and my friends. We never had more than 6 or 7 players. So balancing a table meant nothing to me. Now that I've played in tournaments and stuff, I kind of know how they work. This game, one of the most frustrating things about it is as you lose players at your table, it doesn't fill the seats. So you have 9 players. That's fine. Then you lose a player, then you lose a player, then you lose a player, then you lose a player. You'll get down to 5 players on your table. So there's 4 empty seats. And the problem with that is the blinds come around super, super fast. Those preset bets you have to make once per, they call it an orbit. And basically, like if I'm sitting in seat 1 and I'm the dealer, once all 9 players have been the dealer and it's back on me again, that's considered an orbit. And when you only have 5 players at the table, then every 5 hands the orbit is done. And every round of every orbit, you have to pay a round of blinds. And the blinds are going up and they're getting more expensive. So where normally in a tournament, they would do their best to balance the tables and keep the tables full until they don't have enough players to keep them all full anymore. In this game, you'll play down to 5 players on your table. So you have 4 empty seats. Then once a 5th player gets eliminated, then the game momentarily pauses and brings 5 new players to your table to fill it back up. And so like that happens sometimes. They'll break a table if they don't have enough players to fill all the tables. They'll break a table up, move those players to other seats. But you never have to just sit there and wait until you're down to 4, and then you get 5 new players to fill it up. So again, if you're a big poker player, that's one of the things that's going to really aggravate you. Plus, that's when players really get eliminated. As you're playing through the game, at any time in a tournament, you can hold the left trigger and bring up how many players are left. And to give you an idea, when I was playing it this morning, I was playing a $1,500 pot limit Omaha tournament. How the game works how Omaha works doesn't matter anymore, okay? So it started with 234 players, and then every 9 or 10 hands, the blinds go up. Normally in a poker tournament, it's not how many hands you play, it's like every 20 minutes or every hour or every 2 hours or whatever the fuck. But in this game, it's every like 9 or 10 hands, then the blinds go up. Every 9 or 10 hands, then the blinds go up. And so we started with 234 players. After 17 hands, the blinds had gone up once. We were down to 200 of those 234 players. Then we got down to where we only have 4 players left at our table. So they brought in 5 new players. And as soon as those 5 new players got added to my table, I looked at the tournament stats and we were down to 109. And so it's almost like is it a freeze out? Like it almost just feels like they wait until you're down to 4 and then they're like, all right, here's 5 new players. By the way, half the field has been eliminated. And so it changes, like you can't just play traditional poker in this game because as your table gets shorthanded, you have to start tightening up and playing fewer hands and picking your spots because you're paying blind so much more. And then once you get 4 or 5 new players added to your table and it fills up again, not only did you just eliminate like 30% of the tournament in this, like for some reason over one hand, 30% of the field got eliminated, but now you've got a full table to buy yourself some time again. So that can be kind of frustrating. The blinds going up every 10 hands can be a little bit frustrating, but I also understand why they wouldn't want to play on I do wish it gave you the option to play with a timer. I think that'd be really, really cool because in real poker, if one player is taking too long, anyone else at the table can call a clock. And basically that means someone from the casino or whatever will come over and tell them like, you've got 30 seconds and then your hand is dead and it forces them to make a move. I think it'd be cool if you could turn the clock on as an option instead of just having to play every 10 hands, but it is what it is. The game itself will either move very slow or very fast, depending on the settings you have it set up on. That 2008 Battle of the Bracelets, the one I'd recommend you're going to pick up if you're going to pick up one, once you've folded your hand, or while you're waiting for the action to get to you, you can hit like one button and everybody else makes up their mind and makes and does whatever they're going to do in like a second. And you almost have to like stop and look back and be like, holy fuck, okay, so who did what? So they raised, they folded, they called, they raised, they folded. Whereas in this one, in the original World Series of Poker, even when you set it to the fastest time, most of the time it's very, very slow. And what can be a little bit irritating, although it is realistic, is once, like let's just say pre-flop, so before any of the community cards come down, you look down in your hand, you have 7 deuce, which is the worst starting hand in poker, and you fold it. Now you just basically have to sit there and watch the computer play out the hand. And you can speed it along a little bit, and you can set the timing to go along a little bit, but it can be kind of annoying to have to sit there and watch the fucking tournament play out. Like that can get kind of old. Or that hand to play out, excuse me. Once you bust, if you bust out of a tournament, it gives you the option to watch the whole tournament be played out as well. And I was, no offense, I guess if you were down to like the final 3 or 4 and you wanted to see who wins, maybe you leave it on. But with all due respect to anybody that's like busted out, like I fucking busted out of that Omaha tournament in like 108th or something. And so it was like, you want to keep watching or do you want to go? And I was like, I don't think I have any interest in watching 107 AI horrible poker players play it out for this fake bracelet. I think I will move on to another tournament. It's nice it gives you the option, but I was like, I'm good. I'm good. Thanks. I will fucking move on. Another thing about this game that's not like real poker is, again, you're only getting 9 hands in or 10 hands in per blind level. So you are like within 3 hands of this tournament, 3 members of my table were all in and gone. Like the computer plays dumb. The blinds go fast. I really wouldn't and I'm not trying to talk you out of playing it. I think the only reason I still love these games is mostly nostalgia. Taking me back to the poker boom, taking me back to a simpler time. They're just not the best way to play poker in today's society. Like I said, the AI, like when you go all in and everyone stands up and looks at it, it's kind of neat. The percentages come up. But then you know what I hate too, though, is like, let's say we end up all in on the flop. Then it just feels like the turn and river go super fast. You don't have time to like watch it and sweat it and watch the percentage. Like it almost like I wish you could hit the button to deal the next card. So let's just say I end up all in and I have pocket aces and I'm against one computer player and they have pocket kings and the flop comes down 10 jack queen. So now that guy with the pocket kings could hit an ace or a 9 for a straight. So we call it open-ended straight draw. I could hit one of the last 2 kings for a straight because I have pocket aces. Or, so the percentages of what the odds are of each of us winning our hand will pop up beside our respective cards. And I love that because that's just like it is on TV. But it goes so fast that like if you have a lot of outs, which is like cards you could hit to win the hand, you almost don't have enough time to figure them out. Like it goes so fast. I wish that you had an option to just let me hit A when I want the turn down, and then just let me hit A when I want the river down. Because when you watch it on TV, sometimes the dealer will take like 90 seconds to turn over the next card to give people time to figure out, to do comment, whatever the fuck. I wish you had more time with that because it goes so quick. So that's another one. That's another one of the changes I would make to the presentation, which I'm still not done with that, by the way. One nice thing about this game too is like a tournament can take a couple hours. You can save anytime you want. If you just say, I want to save and exit. I don't think you can do it with multiple tournaments at once, but you can save and exit and just go and then come back and pick your tournament up anywhere else, which is kind of nice. There are collectibles in the game too. You earn a collector's chip for every hand you make. So like the first time you make 2 pair, 3 of a kind, royal flush, whatever the fuck, you get a collector's chip. There's like a collector's chip for go all in before the flop and win. Like they don't really mean anything, but they're there if you're a completionist and you want to go after them. The graphics are fucking terrible. Like the graphics are fucking... Even by GameCube, PS2, Xbox era, I don't think they're very good. Like, that clearly was not, like, the whole focus of the game is on the cards. I think they could have done a little bit better job making some of the players look good. Plus, they're at this, like, massive table. For those of you that have watched, or whatever with poker before, like, the table is big, but this thing, like, the cards look like just little specks on this massive fucking table. And I think it looks kind of ridiculous. The voice acting is not very good. The players have these like little awful, like let's just say I go all in and everybody folds. My character has like this fucking default voice and he might just be like, all right, that's for me. And like does this cheap little like fist pump. I knew you were bluffing, running scared. And it's fucking awful. The voice acting is fucking awful. This is a minor thing, but you poker players will get what I'm talking about. I fucking hate that the chip stacks and the chips you put into the pot when you bet and stuff aren't very accurate. I don't expect them to nail it right down to the last chip every time. But like let's just say I have 50,000 in chips and you have like 3,000 in chips. I should have a mountain in front of me. And you never build a mountain of chips. And like, I'll make a bet and my character will just put a couple of chips in the middle. Like there's no counting it out or anything like that. I don't need them super accurate, but I wish they were closer because any poker player in history knows that one of the funnest parts of poker is sitting behind a mountain of chips, looking at your cards like you just have a massive fucking stack. Frankly, I'm a little disappointed that they don't just give you the ability to stack your chips. Like when you win a pot, it's a single player game. You're not going to slow the game down. It's just you. When you win a pot, have them ship the chips to you. And then you could even just click on them. It doesn't even have to be big, but just let you, because like that's one of the funnest parts of poker is stacking up, raking in a giant pot of chips and digging through for all the biggest chips. And then the second and just stacking them and making them into different towers and castles and doing whatever you want with them. I wish the game would let you stack chips however you want and play with them if you want to as well. Also, one of the things that the first World Series of Poker game does that the other ones don't, and it drives me crazy, is the first World Series of Poker game, your cards are just, like as soon as the hand is dealt, your cards are just showing. Like just little icons, it'll say like Queen of Clubs and 4 of Diamonds. And in future ones, you hold like triangle, I think, and then you'll peel up the corner of your cards like you would on TV, showing them to the camera, and you can see them and look at them all you want. I know it's a little touch, but I love that so much more. I love being able to just peek and look at your cards. The creative player is fucking horrendous. It might be the single worst create a character suite ever. Someone wrote in the intro and mentioned that they bought the game because the store told them that it was like the greatest created a fucking character of all time. It really isn't. There's like a few different shirts, a few different hats, a few different glasses, a few different pants. You can give yourself headphones. All the characters look like shit. They all sound like shit. I think it could create female characters as well. But I honestly never even, like the created character is so slow and so shitty that I don't even change it. Plus the graphics are so bad you're not looking at your character anyways. So I just go with whatever the default is and I'm like, I'm the rookie. That's what I look like. I don't care. I just want to play poker. So Obviously, the most important part of this game is the AI, and it really is pretty bad. All three of these games, and basically every like play against the computer poker game in existence, the AI isn't very good. I do think Stacked with Daniel Negreanu has the best AI of the bunch, but none of them are good. And one of the reasons I'd really like to see them make another World Series of Poker video game is because computers and AI have come so far. If we can build a fucking chess program that can beat like the best chess players in the world, I can't be convinced that there's not a good poker, especially like for those of you that don't play. In the last 10 years or so, like poker has become so, like it was always kind of odds and math based and statistic based, but it's become so much more. It's become a big thing where now at the World Series of Poker, like last year, there were players like using these fucking programs between hands, looking at what the optimal play is, optimizing it, like all that kind of, and like, I don't want that much into the game, but you could have made the AI a little better. Just to give you an idea of how bad the AI is in this first game. In that pot limit Omaha tournament that I was playing this morning, on the river, we were playing me and another guy. So the river means all 5 cards. There's no cards left to come. It's one last round of betting and there's no cards left to come. One guy had been betting into me the whole time and I had been calling the whole time. We hit the river and he checks and he has 175 chips left. There's 4,000 in the pot. And so I bet 175 and he folds. And like, anyone want, like, unless you're like on the bubble and you're just trying to hold on to the money, it's horrible. It's called pot committed. You're like 99% of my money is in the pot. I might as well just see this hand out and hope that I have the best hand. So like the AI doesn't even, it feels like they just randomly guess. There are some, like they have some, like if I would all in we call it pre-flop. So that's before any cards are down, you just have your 2. I would all in with like a deuce 4 when I was fucking around with it this morning, just testing the AI. I got one caller. It was the first hand of the $10,000 main event. And I got one caller with ace jack, which like, I think most players would say calling in the very first hand of the biggest tournament of the year that cost you $10,000, putting all your chips in on the first hand with ace jack is a horrible play. But like by 2005 poker AI in a video game stance, it wasn't terrible. But you will run into situations where the computer calls you with just awful fucking, you know, like a pair of 3s, like no backup, no anything like that. So the AI is kind of there, but it's competent enough that like most hands in this game I win just by betting. Like all it basically comes down to is if you get a good hand, just start betting, and the computer's going to pay you off. Like it's there's enough there to make you play, but it's really, you're not going to learn a lot of strategy. It is basically the equivalent of playing the funny money on Poker Stars, where if there's no real money on the line, people think like, fuck it, it doesn't matter, and I'm just going all in. That's what you run into in this kind of game a lot. So also sometimes I found myself having to wait on the computer to make a decision, and I found that very frustrating as well. I wish you could just like hit a button and just go. In the future ones, you can. The future games improve on just about everything. That first World Series of Poker video game, it was just them trying to cash in on the name and on the poker hype. It's really not a good game. 2008's Battle for the Bracelets isn't bad. A lot more big players are in there. The career mode is a lot more organized. It has the Player of the Year race in it, which is a thing that happens at the World Series of Poker, where every tournament you play in, you earn a certain amount of points based on how you finish. Whoever has the most points at the end wins Player of the Year. There's like a ladder mode called Beat the Brat, where you have to play one-on-one with a bunch of pros, and if you can beat all of them, then you get to place Phil Hellmuth and stuff like that. The schedule is better, the AI is better, the graphics are better, all that kind of stuff. So if you are going to play one of these, I highly recommend Battle for the Bracelets. It's the red cover. The white cover is the 2007 Tournament of Champions. That's probably number 2. And then the initial green cover, World Series of Poker, is number 3. You can get all of them for a few bucks if you see them at a gaming store. So if you're curious, pick one up. I'll just spend a couple of seconds because I don't see myself ever doing another episode of this show on poker games, because I can't imagine just like 20% of our listeners have made it this far into this episode. If you have, shout out to you. You're a rock star. I could do this all day. I could do this for another hour. I could talk poker. I love this game so much. And it's not even about winning and losing money, because I don't play big stakes. Like the highest stakes I play is like 100, 150 bucks once in a while. I just love playing the game. I love everything about it. I just love playing poker. So I have played most of the other games. There's World Championship Poker and World Championship Poker 2. I think number 2 is the one with Howard Lederer on the cover. Howard Lederer's a piece of shit. Those, for my money, are the worst of the bunch because they don't have like the World Poker Tour branding. They don't have the World Series of Poker branding. They're just basic poker games, and I don't think they're very fun. The World Poker Tour game, I liked a lot back in the day. I've always enjoyed watching the World Poker Tour. For those of you that have watched, maybe you've seen that on TV as well. Their final tables are 6 players instead of 9, and they've got like a big white kind of, we would call it like a racetrack. Basically, it's like a on the table, like, so there's the padded rail you lean on, and then there's more like a solid white track that goes around the outside of the table. They used to be pretty big on TV. I don't see them on TV quite as often now as I used to. They had Mike Sexton. I shout out to Mike Sexton. What a legend. Rest in peace. I do commentary in my home games sometimes because of Mike Sexton. I love that guy so much. World Poker Tour is not bad. Stacked, they were really, with Daniel Negreanu, they were really trying to make like the poker game, like the definitive poker game. And I will say, from a poker playing aspect, it probably is the best. The AI is still pretty stupid, but it's a little bit better. There's a few little, like, you can kind of put players, like, this player's more aggressive, this player bluffs a lot. Like, you can kind of do that. It's the best of the worst. The problem with Stacked is it doesn't have the World Series of Poker, it doesn't have the World Poker Tour. You're just basically going around playing in, like, fancy home games and stuff, which isn't always that fun. And then somebody asked if I'd ever played the, I did play, what is it called? Poker Night? There's one where you can play with, like, Sam and Max and the robot from Borderlands. Poker Night. I can't remember what it's fucking called now. I meant to put it in my notes. Poker Night. That's the other one I've played. Poker Night at the Inventory. Yeah, from Telltale Games. Max from Sam and Max. Strong Bad is there. Stuff like that. I played the first one a bit, and it was again not terrible, but actually not bad. The AI was like semi-competent, and at least it was funny. Like, you got to play with some of these players and they would talk smack and shit like that, which was kind of cool. Whereas, again, if you play these games, there's literally zero personality, at least not the first one at all. So I have played that one as well. I think that's all the poker games I've played. I downloaded Poker Club off PS Plus, but I couldn't get it to work. Every time I tried, it would just say I couldn't find a game or it would crash. If you're out there listening to this and you've made it this far and you're like, yo, because I know a couple of you left comments saying, I'd like to learn how to play poker. I don't want to go. I wouldn't recommend going to the casino to learn how to play poker because you're going to lose your shirt. It's not going to be cheap. My recommendation, if you want to learn how to play poker, there's tons of, like, dude, the YouTube videos and the books that are out there now and stuff are insane. You can play for free money online, or you can play like penny stakes. If you don't want to play for free money, you can throw like $20 into Poker Stars and play like 1 cent, 2 cent blinds in like a cash game, or like $1, $2, $5 little mini tournaments that are like, they're called sit and goes, like 9 players or 18 players. That's what I would recommend. Or just get together with some of your friends and learn that way. My buddy Mark taught us all how to play. And a couple of us are better than, I'm not, but a couple of us are better than Mark now. I've been playing in my home game. My core of my home game has been together for over 20 years. And it's like my favorite thing in the whole world. So a home game for me will always be my funnest way to play poker. The casinos can be fun. I always am going to prefer in line or like live poker to online. Online just doesn't feel right. I would play online before I play these old games. But that said, like, if I've had a few drinks or a couple of tokes and I just want something to like sit in front of my TV and just lose my mind in for 45 minutes, I will turn to these poker games. I have a PS3 hooked up in my basement just to play that World Series of Poker 2008 game on it. Because sometimes I'll go down and just fire my career mode and I'll play really good for like 45 minutes and fucking amass like a big stack and be the chip leader in the tournament. And then I decide I'm tired or I want to do something else. And then instead of just saving and exiting and saving my fucking tournament run until the next time I feel like playing, it's derp all in with rags. I'm out. Fuck me. Who cares? Whatever the fuck. So they're fine. They're good. I really don't know. I'm trying to bang out enough episodes before I leave for my holidays, which is 2 weeks the day this goes live. I'm super excited. And I was trying to get enough episodes done to carry us through the end of my holiday. And I was like, I need a couple of quickie episodes. And this is one that I've honestly wanted to cover this since about episode 100. And finally decided now's the time. If no one listens, nobody listens. If my downloads suck for the week, the story of my life. I love this game. I love poker, and I wanted to talk about these. So I did it. We have some great episodes coming up. Shooting to do Okami with Bradley McHugh next week. assuming I can get that game finished in time. This fucking never ends. My God. My buddy Brad, not Bradley McHugh, but my other buddy Brad, you might remember from Contra NBA Jam. Him and I are hoping to revisit Mike Tyson's Punch-Out for 325. Tyler and I are talking about covering some Gears 2 in early June. And I'll probably slip a Mega Man episode in because that's one of my go-tos when I need a holiday as well. I do eventually want to cover all the Mega Man episodes, and a lot of you tell me you enjoy the Mega Man episodes, so we're going to do that as well. But this was World Series of Poker. I guess if I need to put a score, if I have to score the original World Series of Poker, the green-covered one, I'd probably give it a 5 out of 10 in the sense of it's 52 cards, so I'll give it 26 out of 52 cards in a deck. It's competent, and it is poker. But especially, the game has come so far, it's pretty fucking bad. Dude, for you, hardcore poker players, go back and watch the World Series, like Moneymaker's year or Greg Raymer. I like Greg Raymer. I know he got caught in that sting, but I like Greg Raymer. Greg Raymer's year, Joe Hashem's year, Jamie Gold, that piece of shit. Go back and watch some of those years. The poker is so bad compared to what it is now. It's fucking crazy. So I'd probably give the original World Series of Poker a 26 out of 52. I haven't played Tournament of Champions, the white covered one, in so long I couldn't put an accurate score on it. But 2008's Battle for the Bracelets, I'm going to give that one a 38 out of 52. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Is that what 38 out of 52 is? 38 divided by 52. 73%. Yeah. I'd give it around there. It's actually not horrible. It is the one to buy if you're going to buy one. Stacked isn't bad as well, but I would recommend that one. So, okay, I'm going to play that same fucking music for the third time because it's the only song in the game. And then I'll come back, do the outro, shout out some Patreons, and get out of here. Thank you for indulging my gambling addiction and letting me talk just a little bit of poker. I appreciate it. Next week, we'll cover Okami for those of you that don't care about poker, okay? I'm just editing this right now, and I never noticed just how up-tempo that music is for a fucking poker video game. It's just a bunch of old people sitting around looking at cards, and that music is just pick your player, and it's stupid. Okay, here's the regular outro. Music made me laugh. And that is going to do it for this week's episode. Thank you all so much for listening. I appreciate it. And thank you for just letting me scratch the poker itch. This is seriously... Outside of Yo Noid, I don't know if there's ever been an episode I've wanted to do, but I've hesitated to do because I didn't know if anybody would care more than the World Series of Poker. But I'm trying to bang out a month and a half's worth of episodes before I leave for holidays at the end of May. I wanted to do this one. I thought now is the time. I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it. Play some poker. Poker's good fucking times. I love that game so much. Thanks, everybody. I'm trying to think of what else I have to say. I don't really have anything to say. I'm leaving. If you're a Patreon, come back tomorrow. We're going to do Gamer Confessions. It's been a couple years since we did one of these, so those usually get pretty heated. Should be a good time. And next week, we have a whole nother slab of podcasts, including Remember the Game 334, which, assuming I finish this fucking game in the next 72 hours or so, will finally be about Okami. And I got to tell you, my friends, I have a lot to say about that one. So come back for this. Leave us a good review if you enjoyed this, because I think I'm supposed to ask for those. Sign up for Patreon if you want to give me a couple of bucks. I'll give you tons of podcasts in exchange. And other than that, take care of yourselves, and I'll talk to y'all next week. Oh, yeah, and I got to shout out some Patreons. So see you guys later. Cheers. Remember the Game is brought to you by our Patreons. I could not puke up all the content I churn out every week without all of your support. The following people are the senior executive vice president level or higher at patreon.com/rememberthegame, and as such, I am contractually obligated to rip through their names as quickly as I can. So a huge thank you to Remember the Game Hall of Famer Slick Motherfucking Rick, Makes You Mellow Magic Money, Sharonic, J Nasty 15, Jort King Keegs, Dan to Dissect That Film, Doug Dorn, Chris Fleury, Andrew Wright, Jordan, Boy I Love Those Oilers, Lil Bunny Fufu 89, Angry Ticks, Dave Thompson, No One Cares, Scott Brooks, Aaron Lawson, JSK Fusick, A-Town Morgan, Zayden Donovan, Ryan Kinchin, Mike Maloney, G9PSX, Mercury 869, Wolfgang Darren, Andy Hudson, Doogie, Wolf Magic 21, Johnny from Virginia, Squid, Steen Donian, Titan 420, Zonko 504, Jeff Bergeron, Daniel, John Woodruff, Randy Barrage, Just a Fish, Kirby's Cream Course, Holmes, Zach Shepard, Captain Black, Silver, 333, Chugger22, Elijah Burns, It's That Nerd, James, Madam Nutsich, DBXJ, Steve Dulk, Standard Ass Brian, Dude Where's My Game, Mizuru, Juris Dr. Mario, Tyler, Phil Lencher, Joe the Sandman, Jake Carter, Laces Out Dan, Growlywog, Beaver Boy, Thomas Smith, Leroy Westrich, Rush's Dog Walker, Stud Still Smash, Matt Babinu, Gabe, Fuzzy99, Decoy Man, a dude named Adam, Wyatt the Surgeon who's not a surgeon, Rowe, Blaine the Hoagie Man, Scary Terry, Storm Beagle, Archangel Otaku, Earl, Hagel Waffle, High Plains Drifter, Jimothy, Oroku Saki's Gardener, Cody Richardson, General Fury. I use small words to help Adam say it more good. Max Legroom, James Juan Francesco, John of the Adult Children Podcast, Mr. Arkansas, Drugs are bad, MK, Sam Carpenter, Donnie the Dude, Walter, Nerdy Hybrid, Sleeper Hit, Squeak Nuts, Zayas, Hits Meals, excuse me. Timmy the Exuberant Turtle, Wimp of Stupid Stooges TTRPG, Christian Gabriel, Maverick Marty, Musty Beetle, Graham Kennedy, Timothy Sabrinsky, My Left Nut, Beef Dingleberry, Quiet Place Queen, Christopher Britt, Zamatos, Big the Cat, Tadpole, T-Bear 87, Adam Needs to Play Bowser's Fury, Brandon DeZeba, Kia Pup, Monstrous D. Boner, AB Killen Works for Me, Ted Explosion, Ryan Perry, Alex R, Richie Nutsuru, Please Refrain from Tasting the Knob, Scotty J, Just Car Pranks, Rated X, Olint, Darth Skywalter, Postman, Nick Creature, Adam Martinet, The Big Deal, Ryan Donahue, Kevin Monroe, Can't Destroy Her, Pee Wee Squitters, Nordak, Leroy Jenkins. I think that just had its anniversary, that clip. Vaught Palmerston, Beers of War, Because 19, Infinity Rage, Marcus Mendoza, Lord Longron von Hugendom II, Roger Staubach, Spool Cleaner, Lucas Shaman, Frosty Bear, Max Sandin, Sour Goat Face, Alex Ramos, Faded Sufferance, Benjamin Atkins, Carbon Fiber Zombie, Chris Hill Isn't Scared, That Could Be Anyone's Ass, B Money, Penguin Milk, Fallen Snow Kiku, The Supreme Chozo Rizzo, You Son of a Bitch, Why? Tell me why. E-Man Trucker, Mark Sneed, Shoeboxers, Tornado, Adam Blank still hasn't reviewed Mario Galaxy, Jay Callahan, Robbie Air, Saban, Ryan Richmond, You Shut Your Whore Mouth, Andy, Bula, Matt Zeus, Too Much Karma, Plow King, Cesar, Fill Up My Mouth with Farts, Liquor Like Luigi, Cody Thompson, Kevin Kellums, Put It in H, Chaz Hammond, Mr. Jabroni, Big Daddy Randall, Ida Yellow, Ryan Whitcomb, Justin Tate, Daddy's Secret Little Chubby, Nothing Could Possibly Go Wrong, Toby O.P., Scotty McGee, Alex McIntyre, Spider Cat, S, Eric Hopewell, Darbles, Generic Name 238, Girthworm Jim, David Schroeder, Moncal, Diablo Spartan, Justin Blair, McCracken, Wilco, VOS Rager, Super Jess, Captain Steve N, Ryan Stemmerding, Conebread, Wreck-It Ralphie, Desiraith, Super Cyan, Safarioth, Savage Boosh, The Grim Patron, MacGyver 88, Travis Sanders, Lord Salazar, Flater Flav, Captain Asbury Juice, Doogie Bowser MD, Thunder Leaps, Legendberry, Akiris Network, Horrorstalgia, a podcast, Game Boy Ganon, Fancy Store-Bought Dirt, Bot Fokker, Mikey Hag, Shane's World, Devin Collins, Trooper Galactus, Exotic Chaotic, Just James, Spooky Dookie, Profound, and Frank Preeves. Not my best batch of shoutouts, but I survived. Thank you all so much for the support. Much love. Talk to you later. Cheers.
Promise to watch. You called a race with a queen and a 10.
A queen and a 10.
How do these players even last this long?
Don't know.
I mean, it's just so sick. They'd have no concept of
None.
poker.
It was an aggressive call.
Aggressive call? Idiot.
Vanessa Russo.
Frickin' gave me a freaking... Nice dealing there. Mighty fine, buddy. Mighty fine. You know, I haven't won a pot one time. They've been just raising me and re-raising me all day.
Actually, this is a new dealer.